Good morning, good afternoon or good evening. My name is Graham Gordon Thomas and I like to ask questions. I like to question everything because that is the basic human right we have. All other rights, all knowledge, all information and data comes from someone asking a question which then leads to another question. Finding the right question is how you lead to the right answer. It's a complex path that will lead to knowledge. I didn't know much about George Soros till a little while ago. Then I listened to him when someone told me about him. And this man is the most dangerous and ignorant man on the planet. Not Kim Jong-un or Mr. Trump or anyone else or Putin, but this man is. He's working to destroy our democracy and our freedoms, our freedom of speech. He is about an open border world, whatever that means, open society, open border. And yet, how does that work? We have to ask, how does that work? When the flow of people is only one way towards Western countries or to have social security systems. If Western countries did not have social security systems, there would be no traffic of humans from other countries to Western countries. There would be none. That is the attraction for them. There is no attraction the other way apart from adventure or investment. The fact is, in Africa, many countries don't want white people ruling them. Don't want white people in their country. They might want them, but they don't tolerate them. In South Africa, they want to have a war and kill all white people off. The blacks in America, African Americans to call themselves, they're against white people being in Africa as well, some of them. So this open border world doesn't work in context because tribalism is normal. Wherever it is, it doesn't matter whether you're a Chinese tribe who set up shop in London will then form a Chinese district like a Chinese district in New York or San Francisco or Sydney or anywhere else. Like Indians set up systems. They'll form conglomerations of people of their own type. Wherever people are, wherever they migrate to, once it gets past a certain amount of them and becomes easier to communicate, more comfortable to communicate within their own language group and their own cultural group and custom group, they will naturally do that. The idea of open source or intermingling of the races is a very wonderful, romantic idea many of us have when we're younger. When you realise that there are certain things in the world called survival instincts, which then means the more aggressive cultures, the ones more prone to revenge rather than forgiveness, will want to dominate rather than integrate. I don't know that much about George Soros other than listen to what he said about Mr. Trump and a few other things and what I've picked up. I suggest maybe he's a well-meaning man, but he's extremely ignorant. And in that way, he's extremely dangerous. And this push to open the borders of the West to the rest of the world, when we can't go other places without risking being attacked because we are white. Until that changes, well, it's not going to work. First of all, I agree with open source. I totally agree with him, but not yet. When all the governments in Africa are organised and have laws and no longer corrupt, etc., So we all can feel safe going there, which we're happy to live there as I am here. It doesn't matter where we live, as long as we feel safe there. Until it's an open two-way street, where people can feel freely to go and safely go to other countries and live there and work there without feeling a threat of terrorism or kidnapping or Islamists or whatever, or racist black people or whatever, until we're at that time, there needs to be a stall on the open border, open nation, open society system that this man is he's dreamt about. It must be something he had as a child or as a teenager, and he's made money, and now he can finance the propagation of what is a very, very dangerous idea at this date in time. I don't know, if I had a chat with George Soros, maybe I could educate him to say, hey George, yes, it's a lovely idea, it's very romantic, but it doesn't work in real context, because human beings aren't all at the same level of integrational ability. As it is yet, the tribal system or the cultural system or the cultural attraction of being amongst one's own culture dominates and predominates, and will do so for a long, long time to come. And therefore, until the people in the West, the white people who've created, maybe they have got something to say, we're sorry, about being colonialists, but nonetheless, that's the past. And nonetheless, if all those colonial places were colonized, took on the Westminster system and abided by the laws, then they'd be way ahead. If they got rid of corruption, they wouldn't have all the people needing to leave these countries. Some things may have been evil and exploitative, but they weren't all bad. Bringing Christianity and law and Westminster system to the world, I don't know how that was so evil. Yes, it was exploitative, it made certain aspects of the West wealthy, but this doesn't mean to say that people within Africa, there aren't plenty of very, very rich people exploiting their own people. When they stop exploiting their own people, then they should complain about the rest, and about the British and the Germans and the rest of the colonists. But now China's going to colonize the world with finances. So the cycle continues. But let's hope this time, the Chinese, I think, have got good intention, and once they learn to respect their others rather than just use them, we might have a better result this time. But Kim Jong-un isn't the most dangerous man in the world, neither is Putin. It's the ignorance in people like George Soros which is far more dangerous. They're only protecting their patches. George Soros doesn't have a patch to protect. He's invasive. He's an very invasive virus upon our patch. Well, he's got no right to come and tell us in Australia or America or England how to be. He's a bloody Hungarian. No right whatsoever. He's got a right to have an opinion, but just because he's got money, he should be pushing his barrow on infiltrating, influencing Western nations like he is. A dream of a harmonious human civilization is but a dream. There are many nations that have got a long time to go before maybe they might accelerate and suddenly become law and order and no corruption and proper democratic systems and government. So it doesn't matter if they don't have democracy, as long as they have law and order and respect for one another and respect for other humans. Until that's for all over the world, then there needs to be a halt to this open source or open society, whatever you want to call it. There needs to be a halt altogether. My name is Graham Gordon Thomas, just putting an opinion on and what George Soros has been doing, and why the left is really are paid to lie. They're just paid to lie. Unfortunately, they're paid to mislead the young people. It's very disingenuous. Thank goodness for Mr. Trump after all, eh?